Good afternoon. This is Ruby Powers with Powers Law Group, immigration law firm with offices in Houston and northern New Jersey. This is our weekly update of all things immigration and what's been happening in the news. There was the passing of the former President George H.W. Bush last weekend. A Houstonian and leader in the United States politics. And Wednesday, December 5th, was a federal day of mourning where he was laid to rest and observed the day of mourning. As well as today is Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, December 7th. So we keep those things in mind, and we wish the Bush family well and respect all that he did for our country. As we move on, there's been a lot of different things happening this week, like there always has been. The Trump administration is considering making people pay for the right to apply for asylum. Right now, if you don't already know, asylum applications, there's no filing fee. Like a lot of humanitarian filing cases, there's no filing fee, like VAWA, Violence Against Women Act, or U visas, or things like that. So this would be a change. Last year there was more than 100,000 people applied for asylum. They're considering making it a $50 charge. Many advocates consider this a restrictive measure. Honestly, $50 is not that much, but I really don't think it's something that's going to prevent somebody from applying for asylum if they truly were planning on it. So I don't think they should charge people for an asylum application. Most cases, people have no resources, and it took a lot to even get to the United States. So this is going to be continued to be reviewed. And in second news, the State Department took a step closer to making asylum even more difficult for Central Americans, and just asylum in general. In a one-page Department of Justice filing on Monday evening of this week, the Acting Attorney General, Matthew Whitaker, announced that he would certify a case called Matter of LEA, which I have here, for a final decision on its outcome. There's history here, but basically the case is an opportunity to reconsider whether persecution based on family ties is an acceptable reason to be granted asylum in the United States. So if a person can prove currently that a reason they were persecuted was because they were connected and tied to being a family member of somebody, which is considered a mutable characteristic. You can't change being related to that person or associated being tied to that person. They're basically challenging whether or not that can be considered a proof of persecution in the particular social group. So we'll continue to watch that. But at the same time, today, Friday, President Trump will nominated William P. Barr as Attorney General. He intended to nominate him, he served as the Attorney General during the first Bush administration from 91 to 93. His focus on Mr. Barr, who supports a strong vision of executive powers, had emerged over the past week after Attorney General Jeff Sessions had left. So we'll continue to follow that, as that will dramatically affect the future for immigration court and all things immigration. And then along those lines, in terms of other appointments and changes of staff, President Trump has announced Heather Nauert, the Chief State Department spokesperson, as his pick for the next ambassador to the United Nations, replacing Nikki Haley, as there was a change not too long ago, right after the midterm election, so about a month ago. And then another move that we are hearing about right now is that John F. Kelly, who's the White House Chief of Staff, is expected to leave his post in the next few days. We're unclear as to who would replace him. So there's a lot of changes going on there. We'll continue to monitor that and how that will affect immigration. Along the same lines of immigration news, 81 children have been separated at the border since the executive order to say that they would stop separating families. So on June 20th, after a lot of public outcry, the president had signed an executive order to stop separating children after he had started separating children earlier in May from families. But what we're seeing here is that still people are being separated. Not as a great number as like the 3,000 or so that were over the May to June 20th period, but still a lot of, I mean, this is each person, it's an impact. So they've been separated after being apprehended at the southern border. DHS says the separations occurred due to criminal activity or gang affiliation by the adults or hospitalization. At least 20 adults were separated because of prosecution for other reasons that were unclear from the data. This spans the separation from June 21st to November 30th, and 81 children and 76 adults separated. They provide no other evidence of the allegation that children be used to gain entry into the United States. So that covers a lot of that news, but there's another thing to mention. There is proposed changes to the H-1B lottery system. A lot of times we talk about this in December, January, because it's usually best to start applying by February, March for the April 1st deadline of the H-1B lottery cap process. And they announced, the administration announced recently they're planning on making changes. They're not sure if those changes will be done by the time of the normal April 1st deadline, which normally you need to know about that stuff probably by January, February to make the necessary precautions and changes to adapt. So we'll continue to watch that. You know, we do these every week, but if we do post on, what is it, like Instagram, I think, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So definitely, you know, like us, all those places, and whichever one you watch regularly, we put a lot of news out on a regular basis. We want to also mention that the firm will be speaking at different events. On December 17th, I will be speaking at the JoVale Asylum Clinic, and I'll be speaking about asylum and bars to asylum and withholding and Convention Against Torture, which are areas that are more important nowadays, considering asylum has gotten more difficult to obtain in court. And I will also be speaking about advanced citizenship and naturalization at the Texas Bar Advanced Immigration Conference on January 31st, and was recently asked to, well, soon I'll be speaking later on some other things, but we'll keep that a secret until it's confirmed. But anyway, just to let you know, because we have clients all over the world, we will be closed on Tuesday, December 25th, which is Christmas, and we will be also closed on Tuesday, January 1st, which is New Year's. We will have very limited staff those 2 weeks. A lot of staff is just taking a much needed break, and I, you know, that's great. We need to take a break and then refresh so we can go with gusto into the new year. We didn't have our beautiful little Houstonia Top Lawyer magazine last time. I remember it was because I had forgotten about it. But anyway, so I was listed under the immigration law section, and I'm really honored with all the other great attorneys in town. And I know there's a lot of others who should be on that list too. We have holiday cards going out, so with a lovely photo of our attorneys right now and a little summary of our year. And if you stop by, or you're in the office, or you just want a calendar, stop by and get them. We have a whole bunch. They're here. They're beautiful pictures, mostly of North America, but I mean, they're very serene and positive, and a good way to get organized. And I feel like there's something else to say, but I don't know what it is. You know, our thoughts are with the people that have been hanging out and waiting to apply for asylum in the Tijuana, San Ysidro port of entry. We are waiting for December 19th. We'll find out from that Ninth Circuit injunction about whether or not a person who can apply for asylum even if they don't enter at a port of entry. So that will be coming out soon. I think it'll be favorable to that an immigrant could enter not at a port of entry and still be eligible to apply, which is more in line with asylum laws, international asylum law. So we'll be watching for that. And we also have a client that will be in Time Magazine, the print and online, and is going to be photographed for New York Times. So we'll be waiting to see that because there's a lot of remembering what this year was about, and the impact on immigrants, and especially family separation, which this firm, we did countless pro bono hours, really countless. I didn't count all of the hours that we spent in making impact on, you know, specifically I can think of at least 3 families that we worked on getting them out of detention or winning their asylum cases pro bono. know, and how many people that infects, so the children that live here or that live abroad at home, and just from our many trips to the border helping out. So we'll continue to keep an eye to advocacy, as our firm will be going to National Day of Action in April next year, and to continue to ask for reform of the DREAM Act or other changes to the law. If you have any questions, I forgot to mention, but you know, as always, it's pretty much the deal. You can give us a call at 713-589-2085. New Jersey number is 201-210-8240. So basically, we have 4 attorneys that can do consults on all different things in immigration. We have exclusive immigration. I'm board certified. We speak Spanish, Urdu, English, a little bit of French, and a little Turkish, and we have translators that we can get for help for languages that we don't cover, or you can use one as well. We do Skype, phone, and in-person consultations. Sometimes we even use WhatsApp. So we try to make it ourselves accessible, and we understand if you're in another part of the world, we can work with you on the time zone for the consult. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you have a safe weekend in Houston. We're expecting some rain and some cold front, but there will be some lights in the heights and some other festivities for the holidays. So stay safe, and thank you for watching. We'll have our Spanish version shortly.